How's it going, everyone? So this is going to be kind of a response to my Game Pass rant that I did a little while ago. It's for the four games that I was complaining about. At the time, I had only beaten one of those games. Now, I've beaten three of them. And I'd like to kind of turn this into a little bit of a Game Pass review thing. Cris Tales, the RPG that I've loved, even though it had like a lot of controller issues. It had a couple more bugs, like stat bugs and stuff, but all you have to do is load your game basically, and those stat bugs will go away. And yeah, it was a really good game. The story was surprisingly well done, especially the ending, which kind of blew me away. I was not expecting a twist ending. For a while, it does feel like your typical, save the big bad empress who has the same powers you have. The pacing's a little on the slow side, but overall, Cris Tales is a really good indie, old school style JRPG. Even though it's not made in Japan, it was made in Colombia. Technical quality could have been a lot better, but I feel like they really did a good job of recapturing that old school 90s hardcore JRPG feel, you know? My final score for Cris Tales, bugs aside, would be an 8 out of 10. Really, really good JRPG style game. Last stop, I talked about a little bit in my rant, but I was too mad to like really go into details. It's basically a narrative driven game, which means there's not much gameplay or depth to it. Like, you make choices and it's basically a talking simulator, right? It's kind of like a paranormal story, and I really didn't like it that much because it tells three different stories, but they didn't really feel connected to one another aside from the ending. The first story, well, not the first story, you can actually play them in any order that you want, like back to back. But one story involves two neighbors getting their bodies swapped and having to like mimic each other's lives. That's my favorite story in the game. It's kind of funny. You both can get fired from your jobs and just screw up each other's lives, and try to figure things out, figure each other out, so you can kind of like pretend to be the other person. That was definitely the high mark of that game. Last stop is the I think his name's John. John's story, John and Jack's story. It was really fun. John's like this kind of overweight man, and he has health problems. He's a little older. He's bald, and then Jack is like this young, hip, video game designer and stuff, and he's really fit, and like they're basically like complete opposites, and it's really funny. Jack has to look after John's daughter, as he takes John's appearance, and that part was very entertaining. Another story is you play as this I don't remember if she was an FBI detective, but you play as like a government agent. I actually kind of forgot her name. I thought it started with an M. I thought it was. I forgot the name. There's a little bit of a gameplay aspect here where you can pause it, or you have to pause it, and look at people, like suspicious people's facial expression or their hand movement to detect if they're lying or if they're nervous or whether they're a threat or not. And it's a great idea on paper. The problem is that it's too linear. Basically, you have to pretty much do everything that is presented to you. You can't guess. There's no choices involved. You basically just go along with it, and it might as well not even be there, you know. She also has a marital problem where she's kind of cheating on her husband, and you got to sort through that out. The husband becomes suspicious that she's working long hours, working after night, and I mean, it's all right. And the third one is not much better. You play as a university student. Her and her friends discovers this weird guy with alien-like powers swimming in a gymnasium pool, and you basically try to interrogate him, and that's basically all there is to it. Last Stop was a it wasn't bad, it was just kind of boring. A lot of it didn't feel like it filled up to something really big. It did kind of towards the end where like they finally like had like this really big epilogue chapter which was fine, but other than that, Last Stop is almost completely forgettable. The only thing that saves it, well, two things, is the hilarious British humor. The British people are fucking funny as hell. It's got a lot of cheeky British humor that I really appreciated. It was nice. And also, of course, John's story was really well done. But apart from that, I didn't really care much for it. If you're gonna play a game that's like that, only has more complexity and better story writing, play Detroit Become Human. I'm not sure if it's on PC. I thought they released it on PC, but if not, it's a PS4 exclusive. So if you have a PS4 and you want to play something like that, just play Detroit Become Human. So my final score for Last Stop, I already mentioned this in my rant, it would be a 6 out of 10. Um, Now, Omno, that indie platformer game that I was talking about, Omno was a game that I got kind of frustrated at first, but then towards the end, I kind of liked it more than I initially did. I can see why some people would think it's relaxing. It's a very easygoing puzzle platformer, and it has a nice little kind of emotional story there. It doesn't give a lot of context, but I feel like it gives just enough for you to kind of like get a feeling of what's going on almost. And it also has some lore books scattered throughout that you can read, that you can try to figure out what's going on. I personally just didn't have the time to want to like unravel everything myself, so I feel like I did miss out on the whole point of the game. But the big problem I still had with it by the time I finished it and got all 1000 gamer score, is that the jumping is just off. Like sometimes he'll make a jump and sometimes he won't. There was one occasion where I had to look online to see if I was doing anything wrong, but it turns out I wasn't. I had to make that jump. And like a couple tries later, I did what I saw in the video. I did that many times before. Like, why didn't he catch the ledge? So I know for a fact that there are responding control issues with Omno. But aside from that, it was a decent. It's not something I want to go back to, and it's still not really something that's up my alley. But it was a pretty good puzzle game, I suppose. Omno would probably get a 7 from me. Um, yeah. Now, the fourth game, and this is the game that I have not beaten yet. It's called the Ascent. I trashed this game in my rant. That was before I really figured out and understood how to play the game. I tried playing it very basic and not using its cover system and not upgrading my guns. I kept kind of like missing a lot of the things that you can do in the Ascent. That's why it was giving me so much trouble. And of course, I also switched it down to easy because I'm a casual when it comes to twin stick shooters. I fucking suck at them. That being said, though, I've been enjoying the Ascent a lot. There's one big but, though. One big but. The game is buggy as fuck on Xbox One. I've actually recently just stopped playing it now because it kept progressively crashing and giving me like memory errors. And I was afraid that if I keep playing it in its current state that it would probably brick my Xbox, which I definitely don't want. I do want to play more of the Ascent though. I am loving the cyberpunk art style aesthetic. It's probably the best cyberpunk art direction I've ever seen in a video game. Like, it's arguably even better than Deus Ex, in my personal opinion, it's right up there with like Blade Runner. Art style is insane for Cyberpunk. It's presented very, very well. The graphics are very nice. Overall, the game, as this really open world, open city action RPG, it's really impressive coming from a team that consisted of only a dozen people. The story is a little on the weak side so far. I think I'm a little bit more than halfway through it, and but I just want to keep playing it. It's addicting, but between the bugs and the load times are awful. Fix it, and the crashing. Aside from all that shit, I've been really enjoying the hell out of the Ascent lately. If they can fix the Ascent on Xbox One, they may not. Who knows? Hopefully they do. I would assume that I would give it like an 8 out of 10 if I could if I can beat it. There's like new Game Pass games on the way. Well, there's actually 3 more that have come out since then that I want to play. I've played like halfway through Dodgeball Academia, so I'll probably go back to that. Speaking of which, coming up next on this channel, I'm gonna try to make a open beta impressions for Back for Blood. I just wanted to give you guys like an update on my rant. Consider that Game Pass reviews number 2. I might have a third one out in a couple weeks. So yeah, stay tuned. There's more content on this channel on the way, and until then, thank you very much for watching.
The Gamer Gods! Fail!